Hey everyone, Intern here. I just wanted to, since we didn't get a beta build this past week, but it has been confirmed we're going to get a pretty substantial one this upcoming Tuesday slash Wednesday. I wanted to go over some of my wish list items that I kind of am looking forward to, hopefully getting some changes in the next beta build because they've said in tweets and things that it's going to be pretty big. So I'm interested to see how that looks. But just starting off with my darling Voice Guard. Voice Guard's problem mostly stem from tuning issues, like Void Surge not doing that much damage, and like it's already not that great tuning wise, but it's bugged, and Enduring Torment and Monster Rising still function while you're in meta. So like the spec already isn't that great, and it would be even worse if these bugs didn't exist. So I'd also kind of like to see something happen to Flamebound. Um, 50% crit damage bonus is nice, but even after its nerf, like Student of Suffering is still giving you mastery and generating fury, which is just really valuable still. Um, I would just like to see something happen to Flamebound, maybe make it generate some fury when it slashes or something. As for the tree, I mean, there's really not much else that I'm, like, because Eradicate applies Burning Blades, so I'm not super worried about that. It'd be cool if Hungering Slash did, but that's not something I'm super worried about. Annihilator side, too, there's really not much I can ask for on Annihilator either. I know there's some bugs here and there, but otherwise I think this is a really solid hero talent tree. Like, I really don't have any issues with it. As for the class at Spec Tree, we'll start with the class tree. Again, I'm biased, but I'm still very happy with how Devourer looks and the class tree looks. It's okay. Like I know I've seen some people talk about how like, oh well, why do we have talents in our class tree that are like dead talents? Any any spec or class that has multiple specs that do different things, where like Demon Hunter now has melee DPS, mid range intellect DPS, which is important, and a tank. But like druids, for example, have four specs that are all doing their very different things. So like it's okay that we have talents in here that are like talking about parry. It doesn't mean you're gonna take them, but it's more so, like these are here for the other specs. So you have points to spend elsewhere. The one thing I'm really not a fan of is bouncing glaives being the requirement to Void Nova, because we don't press throw glaive, and I don't like, because I mean this is just an issue on other classes as well, but forcing me into a dead talent to take my AoE stun that I'm basically always going to take, it doesn't feel great. This used to be a thing before the existence of the self dispel talent here, this choice node, that back in live, like you just took, Lost in Darkness because it just pathed to Will of the Illidari. Um, which didn't feel great either. Like, it's nice that this self dispel exists, but honestly, especially for raiding, you probably aren't taking that. Like, you're probably taking Lost in Darkness, because self dispel in a raid can be really dangerous. In Mythic Plus, it's a lot less of an issue, and especially with spontaneous immolation, that can be a little unpredictable. But otherwise, I don't really have that much issue in the class tree per se. It's more just I wish bouncing glaives was like, maybe if they moved charred warblades to over here, and then it also said like all the cosmic damage you deal or whatever. But I'm happy with everything else down here. I know Vengeance has a bug with Final Breath, but I don't think that's happening to us. So the spec tree. The biggest thing that people, I've seen a lot of people cooking on the Fellhammer, and I think to a point there can be a little too much cooking. Um, the biggest things we need to see for Devourer is buffing Reap. Buffing Reap and nerfing Consume and Devour. That is the main thing that the spec needs to be successful right now. But Reap is the big issue right now. And then kind of moving into, we kind of cooked a build for Void Scar that was basically not taking Moment of Craving, Soul Shaper, and Void Purge for Void Scarred for a single target, which allowed you to get, all your melee stuff, but also get, Rolling Torment. Rolling Torment's basically required. I would like to see this as just a passive for the spec, but I don't really see a problem if this stays a talent. Like I don't think that's too big of a deal. Um Devourer's Bite. I have tried and I have tried and I have tried over and over and over again to make Devourer's Bite work, and it just doesn't. Even if you cook some way that you know you Void Blade into Hungering, you do your Void Blade combo and then into the Hunt combo, and then you meta and then you do it again, so you get this like maybe 2 or 3 second window of 32% increased damage taken. Even if you do that, that's lasting like 2 seconds because you have to sequence it. But at the same time, it's happening on your first C star if you do that way. And every collapsing star after your first one does 30% more damage. So even in my testing when I took Devourer's Bite, it was better to just use them on cooldown because so if I pop in a meta here, I'm gonna press Predator's Wake and then Pierce the Veil, and then I'm just gonna let myself drop out of meta here. Now see, a Predator's Wake is at 100 or a minute 20 left on its cooldown, and counting. And then I'm gonna forcibly drop out of meta here in a second. My cooldown's 40 seconds. So when Void Scarred says that entering Void Metamorphosis resets the cooldown of Void Blade in the Hunt, that's not technically true. What's happening is that the Hunt's cooldown is staying the same, and Predator's Wake is being reset. Same with Pierce the Veil. Generally, you're going to be in meta longer than 30 seconds, so like the whole Void Blade thing doesn't matter as much. But this interaction is good, but it's not making Devourer's Bite valuable. And something I'd like to see change with Devourer's Bite is either make it AoE, or I'm still kind of on this train from a few videos ago, but I would really like to see this interact with the Hunt in some way that isn't just, oh, you get a small damage amp for 10 seconds. That isn't good. I know these things can sometimes be bait because you think, oh, my target's taking 8% more damage from me. That's like 8% burst or whatever. And just generally speaking, this just isn't a good talent to take unless it gets just blasted with tuning into the moon. But even then, I don't think I like the potential playstyle it might encourage people to try with what I was kind of talking about with, and I've seen people suggest this too, and sitting on the cooldowns of the Hunt and Voidblade until you can meta, and then using them to get this 32% window but it's only getting your first C star, benefited. I really don't like that. I would really just like to see this interact better with the Hunt in some way. It could even path into the Hunt if you really wanted it to. And you could take out like Void Rush if that was striking your fancy. You probably would never want to, but still, it's kind of just the point. I would also like to see a way for Void Scar to get Calamitous. I'm really just not a fan of this Demonic Instinct Devourer's Edge, these two nodes. The spec has too many 2-point nodes already. We have Sweet Suffering, we have Sweet Release, Void Rage, Demonic Instinct, Devourer's Edge. It just locks you in because you need to take Impending Apocalypse because you need to take one of these two talents. The spec, it very much likes either Emptiness or Soul Glutton. And so you're gonna this is a 2 talent point lock already, but now you're gating me behind 2 more. And that just doesn't feel good, especially if I'm playing a Void Scarred AoE build where I want to take Eradicate because Eradicate is good for, AoE. It's like 10% of your AoE. So now I have to kind of sacrifice, if I want to sacrifice AoE damage, I take out Soulforged Blades. If I want to take out single target damage, I take out Singular Strikes. But at the end of the day, you're taking out something so you can get all 3 capstones. But I still had to spend 2 points to get Demonic Instinct. Forget about taking Devourer's Bite, and forget about getting to Calamitous. Calamitous would be so interesting to play with if we're taking, this Soulforged Blades and we take Flamebound and we're kind of amping into this big hungering slash crit damage, but we can't do that because it's the talent points are you're getting basically choked into talent points, and hopefully if we see some Reap buffs, we could take Umbral Blade. I don't even think would be taken even if Reap was good, because you would just take the second charge, because when you're in meta, consume reduces the cooldown of Reap anyway. Um, but I would just like to see some changes to that, and especially because Void Scar's kind of getting locked out of some of the cool, like some of the cool, I guess not cool because they're not cool, but just like talent nodes that are just straight damage increases like 4% mastery, and getting locked out of Calamitous. But I think in general, I'm still incredibly happy with Devourer. I still love this spec. I'm so passionate about this spec, and I'm really excited to keep making content for the spec and keep kind of showing it to you guys and kind of talking about it as I also develop my UI. I've been messing with some UI stuff as well. But I think for now, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I will surely make a video whenever those beta notes come out, kind of going over them and giving my thoughts on them. But for now, I think that's a good place to end. I kind of wanted to make this video a little bit shorter than my other videos, but I think I kind of got my points across for, what I kind of want to see coming into Tuesday or Wednesday. But for now, I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.